that has big time camp. What the movie will be the ultimate champ. You might think you're crazy, might think they're diseased, but they're watching all their child to find the best of beasts.
We rate each movie in 5 categories, none of which are objective quality.
It's Stan, Gene, Jack and Nick who watch it till it's finished, because the love for this movie can be diminished. And maybe the film's plot has no rhyme or reason, but that's a part of charm.
Colin's breath is off the season.
It's low budget film that is much true. They find a flick that monster boogaloo. Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo. Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo. Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo. Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo.
Are you ready to mustache? Welcome back, my friends. It's season 7 of the Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo. We are presenting free mustache rides. This is it. This is the last episode of season 7. Oh, it's so terrible. I've enjoyed this season so much. Who am I? I'm your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and thanks for being here. I am joined by my good friends, and I'm going to say my good friend Nick first.
Greetings and salutations. Who the hell picked this movie?
That was me, and boy am I
And
happy
calling
I
it
did.
a movie and a mustache movie to be. There's no mustache.
Well, this is I blame Tubi for that, but we'll get into that. All right, Jim. Jim is in the house.
I love that this is credited to a PhD in the
Oh, there's so
I
much.
freaking love it. I'm James Cotta, MA. If we want to be that way about it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm 8th Dan Stanadu, BMA. Or MBA. Or DAM. All right, and finally, we got Jack in the house. And what kind of letters are associated with you, Jack?
Well, I'm clearly Jack Hall, BMF.
ASS.
BMOC.
BMOC. Bad mother. Anyway.
Ooh, SMF. You're in SMF. That's
true, too. Thanks, D. Snyder. All right.
We are talking about the doll, and yes, as Nick brought up, this one, the mustache for our free mustache rides in this one was Ron Jeremy, and I knew that I wanted a Ron Jeremy movie in the season because there's nobody. I don't know how many people have made more Boogaloo movies than probably Ron Jeremy, but I think when it comes down to it, I looked at Tubi, and when I was searching through Tubi, the doll shows up, and Ron Jeremy is the first name listed in the credits on Tubi. So I thought, well, he must be in this for more than 30 seconds, right? Nope, not right at all. But that's okay. So Nick, please explain the doll.
Well, I would like to. I have to say. With 10 minutes left in this movie, one character screams, "Why do you have a woman in the attic?" And my response to that was, that's the question I've been asking for the rest of this movie, for the hour and 20 minutes, or whatever the hell it was up to that point.
1 hour and 21.
Overall, yes, it's a short movie, blissfully.
Okay. As far as I see it, now our hero, let's call him for lack of better word, protagonist, has a house that he has inherited from his grandmother. It's not important, but it's mentioned like 80 times, so you think it's important.
Just that
They
she's got a lot of shit there.
I don't get that part.
You don't get that
he's
part.
a nice guy. He lets his best friend Chris move in. And his girlfriend. His girlfriend and Chris don't really get along. He's always horning it up. And his girlfriend gets mad at him and leaves. Now, the two guys sort of get a plan together to get it back, and that plan seems to be hiring an escort / Russian mail order bride,
For a week.
because that makes sense.
Well, she's supposed to make the girlfriend jealous when the girlfriend sees him hanging out with this
The
sexy
girlfriend
Russian.
that
Okay,
breaks up
wait,
with
wait,
him.
wait. I'm gonna-
The girlfriend that breaks up with him because he's cheating on her. His plan to get her back is to cheat on her.
Yeah.
I think we may have to let Nick get through the whole thing and then argue about what happened in this movie, because that's probably the rest of the episode.
That's fair. That is fair.
Let's let Nick get a base level.
Luckily, this escort arrives quicker than a pizza, because she's there immediately. And there's something a little weird about it, but nobody really notices it. So they just sort of, because, the plan is to make the girlfriend jealous, so they don't really want to sleep with her or anything. So
They don't know what to do with her.
they don't really know what to do with her, so they stick her in the attic. And then she occasionally ventures. No one really thinks it's odd that she doesn't talk and sort of looks like a living doll, and she looks weird.
Well, she was
And
advertised
does
as the doll.
talk, and no one knows the dripping blood from the hand that she's carved the pentagram into.
It's only
So
there
they're
when they
really
want it
kind
to
of
be.
happy they don't have to deal with her all that much. She just sort of gets up and wanders out occasionally and kills people. But they don't seem to. She doesn't seem to kill anybody they know, which is weird because there's only two guys in the house. Yet she still seems to find people to kill. Eventually, the girlfriend comes back, and the whole plan of making her jealous doesn't really make sense anymore. But they still got this girl in the attic, and their plan still seems to be just keeping her in the attic. Some people die, and then there's an ending eventually of this movie, but I don't want to wreck it for you if you can call.
Good Lord.
Some people say that's an hour I'm not getting back, but honestly, you don't get any of them back, so don't worry about it.
You mean Nick's explanation is an hour?
I bless you, Nick. I think we needed a base. We needed a base level so we could argue about what actually happens in this. Because I have a series of questions coming out of that, where I'm like, really, is that what happened though? Is it?
Oh yeah.
That's what I thought happened.
Yeah, this movie is such a great example of so many things, because it's a movie that doesn't go anywhere near far enough. Like, you think, like, you've got so many attractive women or whatever, and none of them take off their clothes, and yet this is exactly the kind of movie where you would expect that some of them or all of them would take off their clothes. Doesn't happen.
There is a scene in this movie where two women who have not been given names get in the back of a car and start having sex, and talk about, hey, do we want to have a threesome, or should we do some stuff like just the two of us? And they decide just the two of them. They do not take off their tops.
Yeah.
Those are strippers, though, who often just do stuff for free without anybody around.
Well, and that was the thing.
Hookers. Those are also hookers. I suppose.
Once again, one of the questions we have asked so many times on this show: are we sure they're prostitutes?
It is a fairly common question.
But that scene in particular, there is no reason for them to be at the house.
There's no reason for them to
Chris
be
is
there
in the
at
house
all.
waiting for the other prostitute he called.
Yeah.
What may be a prostitute. Our main guy is in bed with his girlfriend. Why are those girls there?
I don't know. They were gone, and then they were there
And
again.
then they were back in the same outfits, thankfully. But that happens a lot in this movie. What I want to know about that scene, or about Chris specifically, is, okay, so Chris had to live with his friend for some reason, even though he is obviously extraordinarily wealthy, because he can afford an enormous amount of hookers and all that stuff.
Oh, he
And
said he used
Mercedes.
up all his credit card on it. And so he's not, and he doesn't. He's not paying. That's what Ron Jeremy's pimp character said. He's not paying.
Yes, but
So they just keep
obviously,
showing up.
obviously, though, he used part of that credit card on Chris's Mercedes, which is the car that they were going into the garage to have sex in. And meanwhile, obviously, all he did for work was paint, although he did a really nice job, apparently, repainting the house. And that's all he wears, for the most part, is his paint-stained wife beater. And it's just like, okay, awesome.
So we watched these movies on Tubi TV this season. We're watching all of the films on Tubi, and it's great because everyone can watch along with us. You can watch the movie. You get a lot more out of the episode if you've seen the film. Tubi's ad based, so in the middle of that lesbian makeout scene in the back seat, I got an ad for "So You've Just Retired from the Armed Forces." It was an interesting juxtaposition there.
I think that's what you call on point.
They had my attention. I'll give them that. Like, as far as ad placement, they definitely had me watching the screen when the ad came on. Did anyone else notice? Now the actress who played the doll, and I'm sure that Jack's got some trivia about her. The actress who played the doll, not for nothing, but she's the least attractive woman in this whole movie.
Yeah.
like Shannon, the girlfriend who dumps him a couple of times during the movie. I find her way more attractive. Of course, all the girls in the pool.
Her body.
I think she's more attractive than all the girls in the pool.
She is, yeah.
But I think she's more, but I don't think she's as. Yeah, Shannon and the other one that shows up for just 2 seconds. The one whose first name on IMDb, that one, who's like apparently like a fairly well-known reality television star.
The doll, you mean, or the?
No, the other one, the one that shows up and like really late shows up and gets killed. The one that tells him to take off his pants and then leaves.
The blonde one.
Yeah, she's been in tons and tons of movies. She's got like 100 and some credits on movies and TV. She's got like a crazy amount. Yeah, so I don't know who she was. Yeah,
fairly well known. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's no question. Like the director, our PhD, she knows a lot of women that are very attractive and are willing to come in on the set.
I thought the doll may have financed this herself, because I believe she's some sort of YouTube star or something for doing this doll thing.
She is, yeah. She's like YouTube, and she's Ukrainian. She's Jack, can you tell us a bit about Valeria Lukianova? If I throw in
can I throw that? That's the trivia I had forever. She's insane. Is that enough?
I think you need to unpack it just one. What flavor of insane, Jack?
Well, let's see for how many things. Obviously, this is how do we go about this? This is a woman who at one point tried to live off of just sunlight. Literally, sunlight and air. Believing you didn't need to, if you did it right, you didn't need to eat or drink water.
Perfect. Love it. That was a new one on me. I read a couple of things on her, and then I'm like, Jack, I can't. I don't want to look at anything else. I want to react, because the first two things I saw were so insane that I'm like, tools down.
There's so many. Like, what are the two you saw?
Well, she did have surgery to make her figure, like she got a boob job, and she's naturally slim to make her more of the shape of a Barbie doll.
She says she's that naturally slim. If you looked at her, that is nothing natural. But it is because she tries to live off of only sunlight.
Yeah, if you're living off sunlight and air, makes perfect sense.
Well,
like a big boob job, so she's like, the proportions of a Barbie doll. Does her makeup to be like quite pale like that, and the other thing is that she is a mystic.
Yes.
She's a mystic, and she does channel a mystic from about 100 years ago. I don't know what you thought was big news about, let's say 85 years ago. That a world leader who liked mystics. She channels a mystic that was a mystic for Hitler.
Nice.
And I was three things because also the Aryans are space aliens who came here to populate the Earth.
Yeah. So she doesn't believe in race mixing though.
That's right.
Yeah, she
fair enough. I mean, if space aliens and humans shouldn't breed, I agree with that.
No, that's true.
So she went to the Trump School of History.
Yeah, she's like you say, she's a spiritual leader. She spent her trying to look like a Barbie, doing makeup like a Barbie, and like she say she had the breast on or whatever. And then she resents being called that. By the way, so she is.
I think that Barbie wants to look like her. How about that?
Yeah. So anyway, she doesn't really go by this human Barbie thing anymore, or she now posts like, on her Instagram photos that are without the Barbie, without that look and makeup and all this stuff. But
both of you are now on some lists, by the way.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we've said words that the NSA has started listening to this episode. So welcome. Welcome to the episode. We're watching The Doll. If you've come in part way, guys from the NSA, that's what we're doing. She does not speak any English, so that explains part of her performance choices in this film.
She never smiled in any like she practiced not smiling and talking without really moving her lips, because Barbie wouldn't move her lips, right? And doesn't really smile really so much, right? So I mean, she practices this plastic fake human CGI uncanny valley look her whole life. And then they had her do it for the entire movie. And yet I somehow still watched it going, I think they're asking too much acting of her.
Well, yeah. What did she have? Like 5 lines? Thankfully, one of them was in Russian. Otherwise, I fear that she would have broken.
So this leads me back to something that Nick said in the summary. That is kind of the question I had never adequately answered for myself watching the movie. So I really want to get input on this. Okay, so
there's only one for you?
Honestly, it unpacks the whole rest of the movie if I could understand this.
Wow.
Okay, so they go to a website it's called Russian Doll, and they're ordering her for 1 week. So it's not mail order bride, but similar. And
I thought it was like a rental with an option to buy.
As I said, that's the kind of information I'm looking for. That's pretty good.
That was it there. It's a rent to own. Yeah.
Rent to own? Okay, awesome.
Rent to own situation.
It's like
period.
It's like Audible when you get you get like 30 days free, and then you got to watch out because they will start billing you if you keep her after 7 days.
Yeah. Well, they needed a credit card, yeah. So they had to pay something.
Yeah, they did need a credit card to lock this in, and then she gets to the house. She doesn't talk to them, and they put her in the attic. And as Nick said, no one at any point tries to have sex with her.
No.
So
there's that scene where she shows up in Chris's bedroom. He says, "Get in bed." She lies down in bed. He looks to her slightly like, "Hey, I think I could get her."
Yeah.
I'm like, she's an escort.
He puts his arm near her.
I wrote down that when your prostitute gets into your bed, that's the signal.
He's not sure.
You're probably in at that point.
Does this mean she's interested?
Yeah. He missed the moment there. That was.
In all fairness, though, like even if she just lied down straight as a board, flat on the bed, with about as much emotion and interest as a dead fish, I'm not completely sure that I would be interested at all either. It's just like, I
had a girlfriend like that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe my ex-girlfriend is kicking around somewhere, or maybe my roommate has some more of those hookers outside in the fucking pool. I should just go see about them.
Sorry, just finish it because I'm
still okay. So is she a prostitute? Is she a rent-to-own mail-order bride? Is she just like the kind of escort that you keep on your arm? So for the crazy, we're going to make her jealous plan that got mentioned.
No.
Or is she supposed to be a sex robot? Because she's basically, I don't want to say that she seems autistic, but she seems brain damaged at least.
Well, no, because she's
I
been
think
put
it's
together
safe to
by
say all of the above, because the website does not make it clear. Because I mean, you mentioned the credit card thing. I'm not 100% sure that the agency was even interested in that.
Well, no, of course they're not. I mean, to me, I looked at this movie as a really convoluted plot to steal organs from people.
Mm-hmm.
And
but what did the guys want? That's like, what did the
well,
guys
sure.
think they're buying? That's my
Sure.
question.
Okay,
Guys,
all I can assume from it is that they wanted to buy this girl for a week so that, yeah, I think that she would be mostly on his arm.
Okay.
And just be arm candy for that spell. Obviously, it was an epic failure on so many levels. And it was obviously an epic failure within 10 minutes of her arriving. Because it was like, she doesn't talk. What do we do with her? We didn't plan on that. We put her up in the attic. Oh,
Wait,
but it's dusty.
No. The best part is they say, where are we going to put her? I don't know. Where's she going to stay? They decide with the attic. That's before they figured out that she's nuts, like that she doesn't talk or anything like that. That's just like, oh man, this place that's dusty, that doesn't, like, nobody goes to, that's full of spiders. That's where we'll put our hooker for the week.
Yeah, but in
Like, that's
all
just our
fairness,
natural.
it was still fairly nice, like as a whole. Like
Well,
it had
not
a
really.
bed.
well, because it's supposed to be it's his grandmother's bedroom set that they have apparently taken to the attic and then set up as if it was a bedroom. Like their storage method is to make it look like the room it had been in.
Come on! Space is off in this movie. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out where the bodies went.
Oh, everything is off in this movie. I mean, the fact that she fucking paints a giant red pentagram on the wall, and yet never once in the 50 times that they walk her up and down there do they see the giant red pentagram that she's painted on the wall.
Well,
the shape and layout of the house made no sense to me as it went on, because like the Chris's room where he and the doll sleep one night and he and his girlfriend sleep one night has an outside door that looks like
Andy.
a
That's Andy.
Is it Andy? Sorry, Andy, the hero of the tale.
Yeah.
He has an outside door that I don't know if it goes to the pool. It looks kind of like a motel room that he's in, though. So I don't know if it's shot in two different places or
that seems highly unlikely. This totally looks like we have a house, it has a pool, and we are just going to shoot this fucking movie here and nowhere else.
And try to be home before our parents done by the time our parents are gone back.
I did have a moment of thinking, like, this is how you make the best use of your Airbnb. You rent it for a week and you film the doll in it.
that makes sense.
This is
Now that's giving me an idea.
Oh yeah. There is just so much wrong with this movie, and there's so many points where I watched this and I was not sure if I was watching the greatest Boogaloo movie or the worst movie I've ever seen, and I couldn't actually
Thankfully,
decide.
you don't have to decide.
But it's true though. This movie is like it's unbelievable that it's incompetent in everything it does.
Yes, it is.
And apparently everything feels like one take. There's a boom in the shot one time. There's a point where Shannon comes in and she hugs Andy, and there's like her body mic has handling noise where it goes across the mic when she hugs him, and they didn't redo that. They didn't even ADR that.
I thought there was they didn't ADR anything when Ron Jeremy's in there in the background. I can't tell if it was a kid screaming or a cat wailing. There's a sound going on the whole scene.
Oh, yeah. There's buses going by in this thing. It doesn't matter. It's like whatever.
But there's times when you can tell the actors clearly forgot their lines, and then they start just stepping over each other. And then sometimes there is like hard cuts where you could say it's like they probably shot it 5 times to get them to say one sentence and just cut it together quickly. Like
It does feel like improv at certain times. Like it's just the way they're kind of just vamping. I don't know. Like this scene's got to do this, so just talk.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It'll cut together.
Yeah. There was a moment where the lights went out, where it was just like everything's well lit, and then suddenly it's like boom, everything becomes really dark, and meanwhile, like rather than say cutting it and trying to redo it, no, they carry on, and there's another like 30 seconds or a minute left of the scene, and it's done in like almost total blackness, and it makes no sense. But hey, I'll give those actors credit. They actually went with it. They just rolled with that. Like, yeah, lights went out. That's typical of this production. So fuck it, just keep going.
They're like, is it going to make my performance worse? Nothing can do that.
Well, actually, it might make them better, because if you can't see how bad they are, then maybe it's better.
The men in this movie are terribly cast. They're just terrible everything. But
that guy who played Chris. Oh my god.
I thought the other guy was worse. Like I'm like, this is worse cast than a DC movie. Like talking about not finding likable people to play your roles. That's terrible. But this is the point in time where I'd like to point out that the director, Susan O'Brien, said and writer, and by the way, she wrote 5 doll movies. She has 4 more ready to go.
Oh.
Yeah, there's one listed in pre-production that has both Shannon and Chris back for it.
Yeah. Yeah. She's
oh, good. Only 2 of them or only one of them are dead.
Like I say, she's a major Christian nut, as you could probably tell by watching this movie, and very spiritual. And so she and the human Barbie there really vibes, because they're both really spiritual people. And she also sees visions. She saw a vision of the human doll before, 1 year before she found out she actually existed. But she's also seen visions of her holding 2 Oscars herself.
Those are Razzies, I'm afraid.
She's an actual psychologist, as we say, which is amazing. She credits that for her writing. It helps her write and create characters realistically.
I knew. I had a sneaking suspicion. As I watched this movie, I thought to myself, after seeing the PhD, I'm like, she's a psychologist, isn't she? Because the way that she is writing these characters,
I immediately went to that.
Yeah, immediately. You just know that they're just so well-rounded. And and she like I say, she's written 35 total movies now in the last 4 years. And she considers herself just like a spiritual conduit to it all, because like I say, she's a spiritual person. So she is just as wacky as the human doll. Mindy Robinson, by the way, is the one actress who's been in a bunch of stuff. I should mention there to get that in there.
Susanna O'Brien, PhD, is who we're talking about here.
So great.
Susanna O'Brien, the director.
I want to see all of her films.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's only a couple other ones out there right now, but I do want to see them as well, because they have that same actress. Pretty much all the actors are in them over and over again, except
there is another one on Tubi.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Just because later in the episode,
one of them is pretty good, by the way. Amazingly, one of them supposed to be pretty good. She did an interview though, where she's sitting there and she's talking about how in this film, and the DP was telling her, look at the lighting. The lighting is so good. It's so cool. And she's like, I can't worry about the lighting. What about the acting? What about the characters? I'm like, I can't believe anybody was paying this much attention and fucking made this movie.
Yeah, it's so blasted and incompetent, which is what makes it wonderful.
A forest for the trees at that point.
Yeah, it's a shame she does not fit our next season because she hasn't made enough movies. But if she were able to make all those movies, she would fit right in. Mm-hmm.
And win 2 Oscars.
Oh yeah, for sure, of course.
Well, I think
who knows?
Doesn't winning 2 Oscars disqualify you from being on our show?
No, didn't you say her psychic vision was holding 2 Oscars?
No, she won. She did say she had 2 Oscars. She had 1.
Okay, I was willing to say that maybe she married well, but
yeah, she's a presenter now.
Yeah, or she's one of the women that comes on and hands the award to the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you look at her picture, she's also like the human doll in that she never smiles and has on tons of makeup and oh man.
Well, I mean, I can tell. I don't think smiling occurs in this movie. Like there's just almost nobody ever seems happy. I mean, maybe Chris puts on like a half smile at some point. Oh yeah,
The two lesbians in the pool are the happiest characters in this movie.
Yeah, and they're the most unexplained.
That's part of their charm.
They are not more unexplained than the Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, Ron Jeremy shows up.
How about the first death? I'm still trying to figure out who he was. The guy who just shows up, I have to drop a package off for Chris.
That's right, he's a friend of Chris. Yeah, and that's one of the strange, like it's structured like a porn movie where like, the friend of Chris shows up and he's like, hey, what are you doing today? She's like, kill. Like there's no... It's like it's like if you wrap this around a poor film, it actually makes perfect sense. Like the neighbor would show up and you're like, "What are you doing today?" "I'm having sex with strangers," and then you're off to the races.
And then it also attempts to be a horror movie, which it fails at miserably. Like there's like a couple of points where there's jump scares and they're so obviously telegraphed that it's just like, oh. Yeah, so she's going to show up in the window. Oh, look, there she is in the window. Dun, dun. I'm so scared now.
I love
Well, that was a weird scene, too, because she was looking out that window.
Yeah, that was a weird scene, too.
It's no way the lightning could all of a sudden reveal that there's...
One time there's lightning in the whole movie.
Well,
there's never any rain.
Oh, no, there was lots of rain in the movie. There was also lots of sun. Yes, there was several scenes that were obviously shot on a rainy day. That were just placed at random points throughout the movie. There was lots of times where there was sunlight streaming in that were connected with scenes that had rain. And then there was it was nighttime. Oh yeah. I mean, they did not give a rat's ass about any of that.
When you're worried about that continuity, I guess I was too distracted by the continuity and the changing of clothes. I love that this. I mean, we could talk about this. Okay, I know last episode wasn't very long. Folks were clearly making up for it on this one. I love because I can talk about this movie for 10 days and not run out of material. I love that this woman shows up to live there for a week with no like personal stuff. No.
Well, she had a suitcase. She had three. Yeah, she had three little tiny suitcases, and then she had one medium-sized suitcase. But
I don't even remember.
But that was never brought out.
Did they ever take it up to the fucking room with her?
Yes, they did. They carried her. So the little suitcases had her knitting materials.
Oh, that's right. Okay, the knitting.
And
that's right. She would. Like, one scene, and she would have on this white shirt, and then in the next scene, she'd have on this black shirt with this design on it. And for no reason, you'd go upstairs into the attic, she'd be wearing the other one. You just followed her up there, wearing the other one right second before, and it would just change. And I just
her shoes changed a couple of times too.
Shoes changed, yeah. Like in the bedroom with Chris, there was a different shirt, and it's just like this is the type of stuff. It doesn't take any effort at all for, and nobody cared.
But there was a person actually listed as like a script supervisor in the back credits and stuff like that, and I think it was the same person who did like 3 other jobs, because that was exactly this type of movie, and so obviously she. In her script supervision was too busy doing the other jobs to really focus on continuity and stuff like that. Because continuity errors, if you're counting them, then you'll have to watch this movie about 40 times before you could actually count all of them.
Because her hand, except for on the close-up, never ever actually has that symbol of the blood on it. Because I'm pretty sure if a girl walked in, and even if she was really hot, I would not fail to see a huge red, bloody pentagram on her hand, and I would probably
that
comment
she carved in, yeah.
That she carved in. Yeah. I probably would comment like, "That's not usual. That's strange." but nobody says anything because it's only there in the one scene when they really need it, or two scenes or whatever. And that's the other thing is the person that sent out this doll to apparently have sex with them and then kill them. There's a point where you see her and she's got like her, for some reason, like you can see like parts of her body that aren't covered up, and she's got like scars and like stitches and all this all over her. And I'm like, you're technically an escort. Does nobody think to themselves as it's putting you out to kill these people? Somebody might want to see this escort without her clothes on and realize something is wrong.
But we don't know that. But I mean, it's like she's only like she's not a sex escort. I'm figuring, and
she is. They say that at the beginning during the whole.
But when she gets there, their first thought isn't, is it your turn or my turn, or you paid, so I guess you go first. Well, it's, we should keep her in the attic and then go to sleep.
That's what you do. You look at a girl and you go, what should we do? We should put her there. You wouldn't say, have a seat. Can I get you a drink or anything? That's the last thing that would cross your mind. Get to know her. Talk.
Bottle of water at least. Just, like, you know.
Yeah, just put her in the fucking basement or attic or whatever.
Yeah, and, don't even...
Because when and even the creation of the character, like where it's just like, oh, now you need a soul, and so he needs to take some intestines from somebody, and apparently that's their soul. Like when he's creating her at the beginning, it's the most like hacked together like creation story of this character. Like you're just like, okay, I understand that she's supposed to be like created out of a Frankenstein monster.
I didn't know that. Was she a normal person who then became this doll, or was she a satanic thing?
I like that's what I think.
Is
that
I think,
or she
like
I
satanic
don't know.
Frankenstein? That was my take. That was my reading.
That I would agree with that.
All right. We're just now voting on what happened in this movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We still have a lot more to talk about. Let's get to scoring because we also have to reveal our movies.
Yes.
My scores have definitely gone up as we've talked about this. So I'm interested in. There's many times where I write down my scores, and then as we're talking, we're like, no, they're right. That makes no sense. Nothing that's happening right now makes a lick of sense. All right. In our search for the ultimate B movie, this is number what's 7 times 8? I forgot.
87.
87. 87. It's our 87th movie in our search for the ultimate. 6. It's only 6. Okay.
Oh no! Wait.
It's
56. It's our 56th movie.
It's one down, 2 to go.
Exactly. So in our search for the ultimate B movie, we rate each film in 5 categories, none of which are objectivity.
Sorry, is Nick still here?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
He's resting up. He's resting up. We're just minutes away from what the fuck moments, and Nick needs to be rested. Get a glass of water, whatever you need, Nick. We rate each film in 5 categories. The first category is called Schlock Uphill, and we start with Stan.
Again, I really struggled with this because of its large level of incompetence, but that is such a great moment of schlock. So yes, this isn't like some of the other movies that we've talked about, because some of the other movies, like they're schlocky in different ways. This is schlocky in a pure incompetence. You had no clue what you were doing and really shouldn't have done it. But it's still schlocky. So I can't help but give this an 8.
It's like that Jurassic Park line that you were so obsessed with whether you could do this, you never asked if you should.
Yes. And you shouldn't have. You absolutely shouldn't have. But you did, and so for that reason, I will give you points.
Wow. Yeah, I never considered incompetence schlock. I can't give it any points on this. You could have called this generic horror movie 7, and we fucked it up.
It's really good. It's nothing like 7.
There's nothing really like that screams schlock to me to this movie, other than it's a horror movie, so 2.
Okay, so wow. So I see it as here is a movie that is schlock for me as a 10. Appeal is a 0.
Yeah. That's fair. That is totally fair.
So you think I would split the middle, but schlock is more powerful than appeal, so I'm going to give it a 6.
Nice. There's some great moments in this. There's one moment where they do call the Russian phone number. They because they had texted to order this girl. They did call the number and say, "Hey, we're not sure we want the girl. She seems insane and weird, and possibly a robot." So they call, but it's a guy that's all in shadow talking on the phone, which is typically what you do when you're going to reveal that they are someone. So like my first moment was, oh, so that's Ron Jeremy then. Like it's because like they're setting up a reveal. No, they're not.
No,
they just do this guy in shadow for no reason.
That was in my WTFs you just stole.
Oh,
that was
I'm sorry.
That was the fact that this guy is, you spend the whole movie not really showing him in his shadows, and you don't see his face like at the beginning, and it's all hidden so that you can reveal him. And then he just walks in and he's just some guy and you don't explain why. You've never seen him before. I'm like, that to me is a massive WTF. That's the one I was going to highlight. After all the ones that we highlighted previously, that was my massive one to highlight.
All right. Anyway, I'm giving this an 8. Sorry, Jack. Usually everyone else is fine. This was might have been a first for
yeah, that's right. That's right.
147 episodes.
You just figured that you jumped the.
Yeah. Well, that was schlocky though. Like I wrote, I never would use this word, but yes, like YAS is what I wrote down there.
Yeah.
Yes, it's those things that are done for you don't know why. Yeah. Not it's like
it felt schlocky. It was like but it's like it's yeah. All right, more heart than budget. I think Jack bringing his trivia has brought a compelling argument for heart. So, but you are the judge right now, Stan.
Oh, it is so true because this is one of those from like a what you got out of everybody was absolutely terrible. What you paid for everybody, I sure hoped. I really wish I knew the budget for this because if it was more than $12, then they highly overpaid for the making of this movie. But at the same time, I cannot help but look at the fact that they made this movie as being full of heart and full of just a ridiculous, It just kind of works in a not working way. I don't know how to explain this, so I'm going to give it a 7.
I would like to point out, I'm not sure of the budget, but the director, Susanna O'Brien, has said anytime there's something bad in her movie, it's due to a poor budget.
Awesome.
Fair enough.
So yeah, $12.
That's a good way to push off responsibility for everything.
Yeah. Looking at this film and watching this film, I would say nobody actually got paid other than Ron Jeremy. They may have offered the doll craft services, but since she eats nothing but sunshine, that might have been cheap.
I don't even think they paid Ron Jeremy. I actually think that he was on set next door shooting a porn, and he probably came over.
The Surreal Life could have been shooting next door.
I think
that neighborhood did look familiar.
I think he was pretty integral to the plot.
We do know from Crank 2 that if Ron Jeremy may just show up when you're filming without being invited, so that's very possible. That he's like, hey, I see you're filming a movie. I could be in that.
I want to put out the website, by the way, for this movie or for the studio production, whatever it's called again. The studio that produces it has in their news section, LA Times is to review the doll, but doesn't actually have the review because that guy slams the hell out of it. So it's going to happen.
So awesome.
Oh my god. Oh.
So yeah, no, these people are showing up without pay. They're making a movie, and I mean, they don't have any talent, but I can't fault them for. They all seem to be trying. The girlfriend maybe phones it in a bit. So, yeah, I'll give it an 8.
Oh God, I just can't. I'm sorry. Like they're just they
Hey, man, a room full of
if
monkeys.
you can't bother to notice that in one scene a person's wearing one set of clothes, and next scene a person's wearing another set of clothes, if you can't put in that little set
I'm assuming there are a lot of blind people working on this.
You can't bother putting in that much effort, or to shoot it again, or to light it properly, or to make any sense out of your script. To instead of when you finish this script, instead of going, "Fuck, that's good, time to write number 2," giving this one a second pass and seeing if it can be improved, which you clearly must not have done. I'm sorry if you can't do that. I can't give you a good score. I'm going to give it a 4, and that's a generous 4.
I'm going to make up the average for you. Don't worry. So I want to talk about the team involved in the doll. So there are performers in this movie that worked with the director before the doll. There are performers in this movie that made the doll. And then there are performers who are continuing to work with this director after the doll that went, you know what I freaking loved doing? Making the doll. So you tell me you want me and I am there. That's and this director also made something that I cannot turn up anywhere on the internet. I'm gonna maybe Amazon to find it. Did the Dollhouse Workout? Starring Valeria, which promises her workout secrets revealed, body sculpting, burn off fat, and 2 bonus features, including meditation and astral projection.
It's. I believe you can get that on Amazon US.
Nice.
If you want to pay for it, and we will all watch it as a Boogaloo bonus.
I think it may show up as an independent Boogaloo project. Moving on here. So that's a great. Really, I'm bringing that in not to talk about that movie, but to talk about the heart and soul and camaraderie and teamwork that went into this film. That I give a 10.
Wow.
That's so much heart. So much heart for so little budget and with so little results. Okay. Now, NASA astronauts depends for just this kind of
it's true.
Adult diapers for just this kind of situation. What the fuck moments, Stan?
I really wish I had gone to the bathroom before this. It starts early, and it happens often, but so just a few little bits before I get to my biggest one. So in the opening credits, like it's going through the credits, there's a part where it says edited by, and I didn't actually see a name on that part. I don't know, maybe somebody else did, but it just said edited by. And I'm like, good. And so as I watched this, and I came to the realization that I'm like, yes, this movie was edited. but
it did take a little while to figure out for sure.
Yes, but I would not, if don't get me wrong, if it was me, I wouldn't want my name attached to this as an editor. No doubt about it. There's this great point where Chris is like, trying to console Andy about losing Suzanne. And is that the girlfriend's name again? I've forgotten.
Shannon.
Sorry, Shannon. And he's trying to console him, and he's just like, I process pain a little different than you. And I'm like, that is obviously a line that had to be written by, a psychologist, because no dude, there's no way that I would ever say to one of you guys, I process pain a little different than you, so we'd react differently to this kind of thing. So there's this point where Andy has gotten back home from work, and Shannon is in the house, like she's come back. Andy's gotten home from work. They are kind of hanging around, and they make a comment. I think it's about half an hour afterwards. make a comment. They say, "We both had a lot to drink today. We should just go back to bed."
Yeah, it's been a long day.
It's been a long day, and I'm like, dude,
You had a lot to drink. They never drank one thing during the whole fucking day.
And it's just like, are you drinking at work? I mean, is that your job?
None
like
of
just
them work.
drinking? Yeah.
None of these people work.
Andy has a job because he went off to work that day. And so that's why I assume for him, even though, even though Shannon was...
Yeah, that's why I was...
Same clothes?
But, like, Shannon was sleeping the entire day, so I'm not sure why she has to go to bed. She just stayed in and watched movies and slept. But he goes off to work, and so I assume it had to be daytime for that, although we have no idea, because daytime and nighttime means nothing in this movie. And then so there's a point where like she tries to, I think it might be the same moment where she tries to kind of sex up Andy, and then she makes a reference to that, like because she sees the doll off in the corner. And then, so about 5 minutes later in the movie, she makes this reference to that. And she said, "Oh, a few days ago, I saw this." And I'm like, but you're wearing the same clothes, and there's no reason to believe that this is actually a few days ago. It seems like about 20 minutes later. But, so yeah, that's just it. But my favorite WTF moment is that Shannon winds up going up to the attic. She discovers like these documents drawn up for the doll that have their name on it and stuff like that on parts of the body that are there, which are so wonderfully explained later. She hears the doll coming up the stairs. This is wonderful stuff. She hides under the bed, and it's a massive under the bed. Like I think the bed is like 6 feet off the floor. It's so big, but she's sitting there and making every noise you could humanly make. So then the doll comes up, sits down on the rocking chair, and starts rocking and carving into her thing. So meanwhile, we cut away for about 20 minutes to something else. And then the doll, she's under there. The doll kills, goes after somebody. It kills somebody in there. Oh yeah, because she kills the hooker, the blonde hooker. In there, Shannon realizes this. Chris races up the stairs, discovers the hooker in the chair. The doll is not there. And then Chris races away. And then we come back, and the hooker's gone. And then there's a scene where the doll is back in the chair, and Shannon is still under the fucking bed. And I'm like, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
How in hell did you not get out of the bed when you realized that Chris came up and discovered the fucking dead hooker? Like,
yeah, you just stayed there.
Yeah, she just stayed there, and then she gets out, and she's like, "Oh my god, this is terrible. I've been stuck under here forever." And it's just like, yeah. Even though there was about 18 times when apparently you could have left. It's a wonderful batch of just pure incompetence. So I have to go with a 10.
There are 5 kills before anyone notices in a small house.
And there's not even
we
like
three
find
rooms
the bodies
with 4
for the
people
most part.
staying in them. There are 5 kills before the 5th kill. Sorry, is the one that somebody finally sees something.
Yes.
Now that never stops the characters from acting like they know what's going on, because I have no idea why she hid under the bed
in her own house.
Like, ooh, I don't want to be caught in the attic. Because at that point, she had no clue that there might be something going on. And people can walk around this small little house, which, I mean, we only see 3 or 4. Yeah, well, they have to put the prostitute in the attic because there's not enough room. So, yeah, they don't have extra rooms. Yet nobody seems to run into each other ever.
Although, if you do see the establishing shot of the house, which actually looks like it was shot because somebody left the camera out in front of the house, turned it on, and then kicked it because it kind of moves, and they use it twice, and it's got schmutz on the screen. But that seems to show a fairly large house. So, again, it's not that not throwing rocks or anything, just suggesting that they're incompetent.
Also, characters can seemingly get locked in rooms with windows, yet nobody seems to. Well, why don't we leave through the window? We only go through doors, despite the fact that we'll be killed if we do so.
Yeah, that's not how I was raised. I don't go through windows.
Yeah. At any point, this movie would have been over if any character at any point from the first 5 minutes to the last 5 minutes had stopped and thought a thought. Not a good thought, a dumb thought.
Any thought at all would have done.
And I mean, I'm willing to discount a lot of the just dumb filmmaking errors. Just conceptually, this movie has problems. And then there's big stuff like, where the hell are the bodies going? That is, the killer is a little girl. No one thinks to fight back. And once they're dead, there's no way for them to, disappear. Yet nobody finds the bodies. Ron Jeremy, I'm pretty sure he was killed where he fell. You couldn't open the back door of the house.
It was in the garage. He shows up in the garage bitching about how this Chris owes him money. She stabs him. He falls down against the wall. She just stands there. It's daylight in their neighborhood. There's the out front. There's like a sidewalk and everything, I think. And she never moves to get rid of him. But next time we see that garage, gone, no blood, nothing. Yeah, it's crazy.
Who knows? Maybe bodies evaporate in California. Yeah, 10 on this one.
I hate giving out a 10 too easily, but how can you not here? We haven't even covered a small portion of them. I mean, I have never in my life watched a movie. This movie was 81 minutes long. I've never seen a movie where characters sleep so much.
There is a lot of napping.
I gotta go to bed. I'm really tired.
It's been a big day.
The opening character shows up, falls asleep. I swear he sleeps. Of the first 36 hours of the movie, the character is asleep 35 and a half hours. First on the couch with a piece of paper stuck to his head. Then he goes to bed. Then the doll shows up. They put her to bed. Then they all go to bed. I mean, and then everybody's going to bed all the time. The female girlfriend, Shannon, shows up. She's going to bed constantly. Chris is in bed being woken up. He's constantly sleeping. Shannon, by the way, is constantly going to bed. We mentioned she never changes clothes when she's different days. She also wears the same clothes to bed. She never changes out of her jean shorts and Daisy Dukes and halter top. I've never seen a movie where so much of the plot and storyline revolved around people sleeping. It's unbelievable.
I'll give you one more. I had a little nap to get through.
I mean, this is.
Think about it, guys. Think about how many times in this movie you saw somebody either waking up or about to go to bed and talking about sleeping.
Yeah. It is like there is a whole scene where Chris just sleeps. Like,
yes.
Yeah, he gets woken up by the phone, but we watch him sleep for like a full minute.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, and whole things you could just carve out. Like, actually, if you carved out every excess minute from this, I'm not completely sure you would have a 22-minute long television show.
I love Did you give a number there, Jack? You done? Jack?
10, 10.
10, 10, 10.
It's 20. It's 10, 10.
If ever there was a movie to tip the scales and be the first time that we have a perfect score for what the fuck moments. Up until this moment, 39 out of 40 was the top what the fuck moment score. Let's make this a perfect 40 out of 40. All of the things you said, and I have more examples of all of the ones you said. Honestly, like the timeline of this movie makes zero sense to me.
No sense whatsoever.
I love that Chris's introduction at the beginning of the film is Andy goes to Chris's door and he's like, "You're fucking up my life. We're 4 minutes into the movie. We have met no one, and he says you're really affecting my life staying here."
Well, because he's listening to thrash metal really loud.
That's just how Chris sleeps.
Yeah, I know, it's true, because that's what they established later.
And we mentioned earlier the moment where there's a lightning blast and Shannon sees the doll standing outside the window, and Andy's like, "No, there's no girls around. I don't know who you could have seen." And you're probably just crazy, Shannon. That's always good. Building trust in the relationship. And then later she says she found the doll, and she says, "I think this is the woman from a few days ago." And I'm like, "A few days ago? I thought that was like an hour ago."
Yeah, totally.
How many like, I know you sleep a lot, but what else has happened in the time since you thought you saw her? I thought this was all the same night. Like, how?
Well, because she's wearing the same clothes, so
sleeping that much. They're sleeping in the daytime. They're sleeping in the nighttime. Like, no matter when it is, they need to sleep.
She sleeps in the same clothes. She wakes up. She does nothing. She goes back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then it's.
I've asked many questions previously about why Chris and Andy have gotten the doll, what they were expecting to get out of the doll, the whole goals there. So the bad guys' plan. The bad guys' plan is sell people a doll, have the doll kill everyone and take some internal organs, sell internal organs, make lots of money. Is that or use internal organs to make other dolls? Or
I think it just
the second one makes sense because
further his satanic experiments. I think that's why.
Okay, so it's satanic stuff. But the purpose is to get the internal organs.
It's all of those things.
Okay, it's all of those things, but we have like 10 bodies on the ground at the end, and Shannon's the only one they take any organs from.
Uh-huh.
Oh no, they take something from Andy as well.
Yeah, they take something from
Chris
Andy.
alive. Chris lives through this. Like they just leave
they
him
put on
insane
pentagram thing. She carves that into his forehead, and then he's possessed.
Yeah, they make him into like a zombie.
Yeah, and it was great because when she carved it in, it was messy. And then the next scene afterwards, it's perfectly cleaned up and looks like a normal pentagram.
Well, like I say,
and then when we get back to the room, it's messy.
In this movie. Like, blood does not stay. Talk about bodies evaporating, then why the fuck wouldn't blood too?
Yes. Well, yeah, because
they seem uninterested in. I mean, you'd think harvesting organs would be a volume business. Catch cans, the limited crop. Like you gotta but they're really choosy. Like they only end up taking stuff from people out of 10 bodies.
well, think about it. This is a movie where apparently it lasts several days, and a neighbor gets killed, and nobody ever notices that he's gone. There's never any blood around the murder and anything. No police ever show up going, "Have you seen this missing person?" Nothing. Nothing.
Oh, Ron Jeremy was awesome in this.
You know what I like? Go ahead. You already gave your score.
I gave my score at the top. I just wanted to. I
like the beginning when Shannon shows up and sees the girls in the pool. She goes, "Strippers," and then she like locks her thumb backward towards the exit and goes, "Get the fuck out!" And she just holds her thumb there above her head, arm in the air with the thumb like that for like a minute. I'm just like, in case they don't know, that means leave.
And only two of them left.
Yes.
Shannon is awful. So our first introduction of Shannon is her yelling at her boyfriend for getting a lap dance from She calls them strippers. Again, we're not given enough information on the backstory of these women, who I'm not sure are named. Well, one of them's named 4 times because he can't remember her name, and then she finally says Chrissy or something like that.
Oh yeah, Candy, Chrissy. Yep.
Yeah, Candy. Yeah, whatever. And so now immediately I don't like her because she has told the women to go, including Chris's ladies, which is just impolite. And then says, "I'm leaving." I'm like, well, why did they have to go then?
Yes.
Why are you wrecking Chris's night? I mean, you're dumping him. Just leave then. Like, what? You have to make a big scene and then go after the strippers have left?
I like that she shows up, says it's him or me, and he goes, and Andy says it's you, and then she goes, I can't do this. I'm like, wait, you just said what you wanted to hear. Why are you now upset at him? Right after he said, no, you. I'm not gonna. Chris is gone.
Yeah, that is her prerogative as a woman to do that. So
alter the options in the question after asked. Also, the reason Shannon comes back isn't I missed you, Andy. I overreacted. Maybe we can work through this. We've had so much history. No, it's my mom's boyfriend keeps hitting on me, so can I stay here?
Yeah.
My mom's drunk boyfriend has showed up, so I need to stay here. I'm like, you don't have another friend in the universe. Like,
well, and then
I
she
kind of
immediately
thought that was interesting character development.
That is the most depth that's that PhD at work right there, creating a fully formed character.
And then, unfortunately, the house only has the 2 bedrooms in the attic, so she can only stay in Andy's room with him. So, I mean, of course, Andy's at work, so it's okay because she gets the room to herself.
Susanna O'Brien, I would like to say, has quoted saying the idea of this movie came from her counseling sessions with men where they decided they wanted the perfect 10, and she wanted to show them that sometimes what you want isn't what you really should go for.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're a satanic killer.
I guess that means
that the perfect 10 doesn't always work out perfectly.
That's right.
So she's assuming then that the living doll is the perfect 10.
Yeah.
Whereas I would have actually suggested that Shannon was much closer to a perfect 10 than the living doll. Except for the fact that she's a bitch.
Yeah, except for being an unpleasant person, she's awesome. But I'm wondering about the director's clientele then, if they're like, I like my wife, but what I really want is a zombie Russian prostitute who doesn't talk at all.
Yeah, and looks like if you got anywhere near her, she would crack.
Yeah, that does sound hot. Our next category is called memorable moments, Stan.
This one is memorable for all the wrong reasons. It's not like I'm going to pull out any quotes from this movie or really want to talk about this movie to somebody other than to mention the fact that it is enormously incompetent. But at the same time, I will always remember the fact that it is enormously incompetent. When I think about like how many things you can fuck up in a movie, this is going to be one of my, like top level pieces. So I can't give it a perfect score. I will give it a 7 because of that incompetence.
You and me process this movie very differently. There are about 40 movies called The Doll. Most of them horror. Ron Jeremy does small little cameos in lots of incompetent films.
Well, sure.
I'll give it a couple points for the sheer number of WTFs and just weird crap, but I can't say any of it sticks to the wall. It doesn't pass the spaghetti test. 2.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with This is the hardest thing for a Boogaloo movie to get, to make it a Boogaloo classic. Create memorable moments that aren't WTF moments. You know, like you're gonna create one or the other generally. If you can create both in the same movie, that's when you got a real king. And that's what this movie fails to do. Its WTF is incredible. Other than that, I mean, I'll give it a 3, slightly more generous, but it's just got nothing.
So it is balancing. The one thing I will bring away from this is, and I as soon as I heard the phrase, I texted it to my wife, and she'll be spreading that around. Is Chris says refers to prostitutes and pro hoes.
Pro hoes, yes. Yes.
Proho is great. So from now on, that's what we can use. And when we ask that oft asked question, but are we sure she's a prostitute? We can just go with Proho.
By the way, what's your wife's name?
Lacey Underall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she decided not to hyphenate. Kata Underall was
Kata Underall was too much work.
Doesn't look good on a credit card. I'm only gonna go with a 4 though on this. There'll be parts that come back to me for sure. I'm already trying to figure out what else I could track down these actors have been in.
Yep. There's.
I looked it up, and it's movies by the same director.
Same director. I know.
Yeah.
That's where my more hard one came from.
She has a movie that's announced called Marijuana Madness. I can't wait for this thing to come out. I'm hoping so bad that this actually gets made. But she hasn't made anything since 2017. She had these 3 movies done quick. By the way, this movie, I'd like to say, was also screened at Cannes.
Nice.
And
in a hotel room near it, or
she screened this and another one, and then she had to. And during the screening, she had to run to a meeting with Paramount. She has all these. Remember, she has 35 scripts. She's sure they should just let her make one. And then they watched this and said, we should not let her near a camera or any.
She is spectacular.
So awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Greatest thing ever.
Our last category is called Crazy Concept.
The crazy concept. Yeah. We couldn't even decide on the concept. So, when you're, I mean, obviously she's written 35 movies, so I'm sure things kind of get mixed up in your own head when you write a bazillion movies like that in 4 years. But I think that the idea of trying to pitch this, the only thing that I can see is like attempting to pitch using the human Barbie, the doll, as something. Otherwise, attempting to pitch the story, I don't know how you did it. Although I would have loved to have heard her elevator pitch for this movie, no question in my mind, because maybe it would actually. I would love it even more if it was nothing like what the movie turned out to be. Like, that would just fit right in with everything else. If it was like a treatise on like men's relationship with women in the 2017s, something like that, that would just sell me, even further. I'm going with an 8.
Yeah, it's really hard to judge this because we don't know what the concept was.
Yes.
I am 60% sure that it's a generic type horror movie underneath the incompetence and laziness. But I don't know for sure.
And given that she's like a Christian and like a psychologist and stuff like that who believes in probably astral projection and the like, then a horror movie seems like exactly the wrong type of movie for them to make. But hookers. Pros.
Self-described Christian or Jesus freak. Her own quote.
So yeah, like, and there's no nudity in this. Like, it has none of the things that you would look for in a horror movie.
Those 2 women in the bikini, who with the thong bikinis, close up on them, on their asses, like 3 minutes, not moving.
For sure.
You're like, how is this not nudity?
Well, the asses. I mean.
Tasteful.
Yeah, you see everything in there despite those little bikinis.
Yeah.
It's like that bikini's attacking her. It's that.
fucking bikinis eating.
But I mean, how do you score this?
You score it high because
From your heart,
yes.
Nick. From your heart.
No, I'm not going to score it high.
I'll just score it though.
You
Just
do have
score
to
it. Move
score it
on.
in some way.
I'm going to give it a 3, but you know, if I talk to the writer director, it could go up to an 8, but I can't tell from what I've seen.
Okay. 10. Fuck you. I'm not even justifying myself.
I'm glad. Don't.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's I think the one takeaway for me from this movie is that Stan, you and I were roommates for a few years.
That's right.
Not once did you get me a Russian zombie costume.
Nope.
Not even once.
Nope. Not once did you paint the house either. So
that's true. I like when he paints the house. Chris paints the house, and Andy says, "We're living in hell. We're literally living in hell."
I kind of like when you guys live together.
9 it is.
This movie's great.
All right. Every season we have 6 secret modifiers. This film does have 2 of them. It does have a -1 because the mustache dies. Ron Jeremy, our mustache in this film, does perish a good 95 seconds after first appearing on screen. We do have a modifier, a -1 for what we call hide the mustache, and I felt. I almost am tempted to make it more punitive, but we have no because this film is advertised on Tubi as starring Ron Jeremy. He's the first name listed.
Yes.
On Tubi.
IMDb, he's the number 2 name.
Yeah, he does have 90 seconds on this of screen time. So it is still a -1, which brings us to a final total of 67.5 out of 100. Which
Does it
is
not get a +1 for time?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Is 81 minutes long. It is 81 minutes long, and 80 is the
less
than. I thought it was 85. Okay.
No, less than 80 is the cutoff. 80 to 95 is the
sweet spot.
Accepted sweet spot. So it does not. It can't. It's so close. I mean, if only they had cut 2 minutes from this movie, we would not have noticed.
2
Where
minutes
would
of
they have
sleeping.
found
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I know. Oh, but thankfully they didn't cut the 2 minutes of Ron Jeremy.
If you cut out Ron Jeremy, then we wouldn't have watched this at all, and it still would have got that less at that -1.
We would have watched it some other time for some other.
We would have made it to this movie. This was already in my Tubi queue before it got
absolutely.
pegged. So
for sure. Remember when Stan was picking it? I was going, yes, please, Nathan.
Yes.
I'm so excited. All right, let's get to the next part of this because I don't know about you guys, but this was the hardest picks I ever had for picking season movies.
Okay, well we gotta do business first. So we got to let's tell the folks where to find us because if we're gonna go long, we got to be ready to just go out afterwards. So
yeah, we gotta okay, close with the mailbag. Okay, the Octagon, where we keep a record of all of the films and it's a sortable list, and all of the links are there to the individual episodes, is on WeTalkPodcasts.com. We Talk Podcasts also has a Twitter and a Facebook. You can watch The Doll on Tubi for free, Tubi TV on apps, on desktop, whatever you like, and you can watch all of the movies we did this season on Tubi, and hopefully we'll be continuing some of that in the future too, because I like the idea that people have ready access to the films we're doing. And Instagram, we are Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo.
All right. Well, yes. I mean, The Doll, what a great way to wrap up this season, I'll tell you. The Doll,
what was
so
the score
much
again?
conversation.
67.5 out of 100, which is exactly the same as Jim Cotta.
That is such a common score. 67.5 seems to be such a real sweet spot for Boogaloo.
Yeah, so, I'll have to do a statistical spread now. Like now that we've got enough that I can put into a graph, I'm going to make a nice graph of this. You'll see. So
I'm wondering.
A lot of extra time at work.
Yeah, apparently. So did everybody else struggle picking their movies this season? Was it just me?
I have 11 movies on my list.
It was an interesting. I kind of did it a little bit differently, and so hopefully I have enough. I mean, I have more than enough, really. But it was like I wanted to choose movies that I felt would actually. Well, I've not seen them, but I wanted to choose them where I really thought that they might score. You know, there was movies where I looked at and I thought, oh, I would love to watch this movie, but I know that it's not going to knock off a top scoring movie. So I put that off to the side, and I'm looking at things that I'm like, oh yeah, this has all the requisite boogaloo action. So I'm really excited.
I had trouble coming up with any movies, never less than 11, because for me, I want movies that not only I haven't seen, ideally none of us have seen. Raw Force is the perfect example of a boogaloo movie for me, because there's a movie that was great to watch, so much fun, scored really, really well. Yeah, great movie. None of us had seen it before. I don't think any of us even had heard of it before. Seeing it, it was an introduction to us. It's the search for the ultimate B movie, which means it's movies we haven't seen that we're searching for, to me. And like, to me, that's your perfect boogaloo movie, and hopefully it created more visibility for the movie so people see it, because it's just as good as a Killer Clowns from Outer Space or something like that, right? And so I'm looking for a movie that has multiple, that the director only is exploitation movies, has made a significant contribution, or has multiple movies that people will recognize as exploitation classics, but I don't want to go to a Killer Clowns from Outer Space, because I already know what it'll score. And we've seen it. So it was so hard to find movies and do this one. Anyways, let's get to the actual movies. I'm guessing that we're doing it by the generator again.
Let's do it by the generator.
Jim, is that how we're doing it?
Yeah, let's do it by the generator again. I think that has.
I think we all like that.
The generator.
Oh, the generator. That's awesome.
I like
a random generator. Random number generator. Nice. Okay, I'm distracted here because I found a website that has a lot of videos for the doll. Okay, let's see now. We'll start with
dum dum
dun dun dun. The first one is Nick.
All right. Before I start this, do I go? Does that mean I go first, or
that means you go?
You go first.
Okay.
Does mean you go first. Did we decide? It's no repeat directors, right?
That's right. That's right. So once the
I don't
director's
think we had decided. I don't know if we had actually decided no repeat directors, but I think that's. I think we all will honor that.
Yeah, I do think we kind of decided
that. The big list is that. Yeah.
Does anyone have a director that is not on Tubi, or a movie that's not on?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay. No, I picked a couple, or I picked one that was not on a Tubi, but I thought if you guys all were going off a Tubi, that I had backups in mind. But the first movie that I picked is a movie that I've wanted to watch forever, but never have. I've seen clips of it. It was the movie when we first suggested this podcast that I wanted to get in, but could not, by the great director of Witches of Breastwick and
already a winner.
Yes, and The Return of the Swamp Thing. Not to mention, he directed all 3 of the Bare Breast projects. And
those
the movie is, we are taking a trip to the chopping mall. We got teens and killer robots in pure 80s glory.
Jim Wynorski?
Jim Wynorski, yes.
And I do believe that one's on Amazon Prime.
If it's not on Tubi. It is also on Tubi.
Chopping Mall is the name of it?
Chopping Mall.
Chopping Mall.
All right. I haven't seen it. Never heard of it.
That is too bad, actually.
I've heard of it. Nice. I haven't seen it, but Wynorski is a legend, for sure.
Wynorski does take out one of the ones I had on my list.
Yeah, I was going to go with Deathstalker 2.
I got Raptor.
So Jim Wynorski is a classic. So
definitely.
3 of the 4 of you had a Wynorski movie. So yeah.
That one's kind of easy, right? You know.
Next up, we have Jack.
Okay, like I say, I really, really struggled with this, but I'm going to go with a movie. The director is William Girdler. Famous for movies like 3 on a Meat Hook and Grizzly and a bunch of other that type of film. And I'm going to go with Day of the Animals.
Own it on DVD, and it's awesome.
Okay, so I'm not going to go with this anymore. This is what I'm talking about.
Jack, if you limit it to only movies Nick hasn't seen, we're never going to get any.
Yeah, that really makes it that much harder.
This is what I do, motherfucker.
So I'm gonna not. So we're not doing Day of the Animals anymore. We're gonna go over to a Jack Starrett movie then. Jack Starrett, a lot of like Hell on Wheels, Angels from Hell, Hell's Bloody Angels. He's great for these type of movies, and I know there's no chance that Nick hasn't seen
Pink Angels. Please say Pink Angels, because
no, I'm saying Race with the Devil with Warren Oates and Peter Fonda.
Nope.
A little older, is it?
1975.
Yes. Well, I like going a little further back.
Okay, so we're Race with the Devil. So eliminate Day of the Animals.
All right, Race with the Devil by Jack Starrett. Starrett? All right.
Starrett.
Next up is...
Also did Grizzly 2 the concert, so that unreleased film, but the fact that he did that ties that in. That's great.
All right, Stan, you're up next.
Okay, well, the movie that I came across first that I was really excited about, the director is David A. Pryor, and he has made some wonderful sounding movies like Zombie Wars and Raw Justice and Raw Nerve and Born Killer and stuff like that. He's made a gazillion war movies. The one that I am looking at is called Deadly Prey, and it stars his brother, and it also stars Cameron Mitchell.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
It is like a Rambo take thing, only also what do you call it, like a Deadliest Prey kind of men getting hunted and stuff like that. So it's
yes, the world's deadly, the most deadly prey,
game.
Most deadly game. Yeah. I'm still fairly certain that
most dangerous game. Holy
dangerous
fuck.
game. Fair enough. Fair enough. There's like 47 movies. They're like every name we said was probably.
That's right. That's right. And
when I'm sitting down to my humans hunting humans marathon,
which is going to last a very long time, I might add.
Deadly Prey.
Deadly Prey, yes. And when I look at David A. Pryor's work, half of them sound exactly like that, so it's perfect.
Perfect. Okay, so we have we've done 56 movies now. Real numbers, 56 movies that we've done on this show, and my director has done 3 of them.
Nice.
Which is 5% of what we have done. What's that? 6%, better than 6%. 7% of the movies we have done so far are brought from one director. That director is Sam Furstenberg. He did direct Ninja 3: The Domination, Breaking 2, and American Ninja. And sitting on Tubi for us is Cyborg Cop. Sam Furstenberg has performed very well on the Octagon, and I think we just keep going with him.
Well, Ninja 3 is the current champ, and it's going to take a hell of a lot to knock it off.
I watched the first 2 minutes of Cyborg Cop, and we got a player.
And he definitely, when you look at that, Delta Force 3 and stuff like that, but a couple of them, or like American Ninja 2, Spiders 2, Breeding Ground. It's an great,
impressive resume for sure.
Yep.
As far as our zone. All right, so Cyborg Cop. That's what I'm adding to the list. Done. Round 1 down. Now the pressure's really on.
Did I call it Race with the Devil? I just want to make sure you got the name right.
I do have Race with the Devil.
Okay,
so
good.
Chopping Mall, Race with the Devil, Deadly Prey, and Cyborg Cop, which sounds like an awesome marathon so far.
Really
yeah.
Round 2, we start with Nick again.
Yes. Well, on this one, I thought I'd try something a little bit different. I have not seen this film. I do not know what this film is about. I only know a brief description of this movie that was given to me third hand, which was fashion gay porn.
Okay.
But it is by one of my favorite Chinese directors, Chang Che. and it's called The Weird Man.
Okay, so what other movies has this Chang-Chi done?
Chang-Chi has done One-Armed Swordsman, Crippled Avengers, Hero Duo, House of Traps.
All right, you already got me.
Yep. I'm sold. That man has obviously put effort into his boogaloo.
All right.
The idea, honestly, I would question Nick on, is he a big enough director?
Well, yeah, it's
I didn't
true,
even
right?
cross my mind. Yeah, Nick says he is. We're good to go.
Yeah. I'm just the fact that Nick hasn't seen it, I think is spectacular.
The Weird
I couldn't
Man.
find it for years. I was just scrolling through some Chang-Chi movies because I knew I wanted to go with him. I almost went with Crippled Avengers, but I thought that was a little bit predictable.
That's true.
And it just happened to be on Amazon, and it was like, holy shit! I didn't even know they had released this.
And I do love Crippled Avengers. It's a great movie.
No, you're probably thinking of Crippled Masters, which actually has real crippled people.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That is a great
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, sorry about that.
Christ.
I was thinking of Crippled Avengers. I've seen that one. I've seen both.
Oh,
Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Show is this? I'm next. My theme was go back to basics and go back to directors that have served us well, and on so far on Electric Boogaloo, and I did want to stick with movies that were on Tubi. Others can make other choices. I'm not judging. Raphael Zelinsky, who directed the Screwballs film, does have another film on Tubi. And I watched the first 30 seconds, and it's not a spoiler to say in the first 30 seconds there's a guy in a bear costume. It is a sex comedy called State Park.
I am so happy now, because there's so many. This is actually a movie that I was eyeballing for another season. So the fact that we can fit it in here is great. That's just awesome.
All right, State Park is my film. Next is, I'm looking for a 3 or a 1. 3, Jack, you are next.
Okay. I can't believe we've gone now 61 movies in and never picked a Lloyd Kaufman. And the difficulty with the Lloyd Kaufman is I'm sure we've seen a lot of them.
I think I've seen them all.
Yeah, so I mean, I am, and it is low hanging fruit because we know it's going to score probably about 97 if we pick pretty much any of his movies. So I'm going to go with a Sean Cunningham movie called The New Kids. Sean Cunningham, of course, the director of Friday the 13th, among other things.
Is that the
Lori Loughlin?
Lori Loughlin? Yeah. I've seen it, but not recently enough for it to be a thing.
You wouldn't remember any of it.
Yeah, I won't. I don't remember anything from it. I think I remember it exists. That's it.
Well, I think we're telegraphing our memorable moment score already.
Well, it's okay. I won't remember this conversation either. So, Stan, wrap it up. Close out. What's gonna be our 8th film?
Oh, yeah,
8th film of season 8. 8 and 8.
It's so hard. I really want to do this movie. It's by written, produced, and directed by a guy named Amir Shervan, Persian director, who's done a bunch of really terrible action-y movies. And this one took a very, very long time to actually get released. It is called Samurai Cop.
Oh, nice. Samurai Cop did end up on my was on my potential list for sure. Samurai Cop. What's the director's name again?
Amir Shervan.
Shervan.
Yeah, no, it's the Samurai Cop and Samurai Cop 2. I think both are on Tubi.
Yeah, Samurai Cop was on Samurai Cop is on Tubi, and it was on my potential list. It was a couple down there. All right, that gives us 8. What directors? What anything that you thought about putting in that you want to give an honorable mention to at this point?
I have a couple.
Go ahead.
Well, I considered Jack Hill and the Sorceress in there, and then like the one that I really struggled with because Jack, you had talked about your season and wanting to do gore.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh man, Herschel Gordon Lewis. Now that guy brings the gore, and I did consider the gore girls in it.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I just didn't think it would score particularly. Like I didn't think it would beat out Ninja 3.
My alternates, I had the same directors picked out. Different movies. Spider Baby for Jack Hill, and Blood Feast for Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Spider Baby. Oh my God, that's a hard movie to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Reason I was picking it because I've never actually made it past 10 minutes.
If one of the two directors had been picked, Albert Payun's Doll Man was the next one in line for me.
I strongly considered going with the Donald G. Gibson. I believe it's John. Is it Gibson or is it?
No, Jackson.
Sorry, Donald D. Jackson. Yeah. Did Hell Comes to Frogtown and Legend of the Rollerblade 7 and Roller Gator and like a ton of other movies. And he is insane in that he shows up. His theory of making movies is don't have a script, have sort of an idea, show up, and whatever is show up at a random location, whatever's there, use that to make the movie, and then try put that together into a coherent plot, and he fails every time.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So, we could do this. We could keep doing this over and over again because these guys, when they made their movies, like we could do another 8 movies with the exact same directors as another season, and it would just be, the same crazy shit.
Well, that's it. I mean, the problem with him was I couldn't pick one. They're all so fucking crazy. Yeah. I couldn't decide. So, we definitely need to find a way to get him into a season eventually. And that's it. I mean, when I think about some of the iconic directors we still mentioned out there, Ed Wood and Donald G. Jackson and Lloyd Kaufman and Herschel Gordon Lewis and so many others, that we, even with a movie like this, B-Est, best directors, we still haven't touched on. So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of shit out there. I like it. We're not gonna run out of Boogaloo anytime soon. So I think that's great news. All right. Well, I think we've been doing this show now for about 4.5 days. Yeah. So we should probably wrap it up. This has been season 7. The free mustache rides from the Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo. Next is season 8, simply the B-Est, where we talk about all these great movies, and I am totally stoked now. This is what happens after every season. You get through your season. This was a good one, but now I am ready to move on, and I am super excited about what we're moving on to. So join us next season for Simply the B-Est and all these great movies. So, for Jim, for Jack, and for Nick, I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu. Thanks for listening to the Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo.
This, my friend, is the doll. Hot chicks. Hot Russian chicks. Like an escort, they come for a week. And you get to try them out. And it'll be fun.
What the Don't do this. Please.
Yeah, chicks, dude, they can't handle when a guy upgrades to a better model. And this, my friend, is a much better model.
What kind of guys order escorts?
All guys order escorts.